Hi friends, I'm Eralia and welcome into the Eralia Show. If this is your first time joining, then welcome in. If you are a returning guest, then welcome back. It's good to see you. This is actually going to be the most vulnerable and open episode that I have had on the channel thus far. The intent behind this podcast is to show up in an unveiled state. There's no game to distract us. There's no movie. There's nothing to react to or emote to. This has been the most challenging and also most rewarding space on the channel, tucked away. It doesn't, I don't do it for all the glitz and the glam. It's just me showing up in this little Eralia Show podcast category on YouTube or on Spotify. And it's a little dream that I have just to be able to sit here and connect with people on the internet from all over. And doing it in this way is the most pure form of connection I can possibly think of. So I thank each and every one of you for tuning in to today's episode, for tuning in to my content creator journey. This episode wouldn't be happening about my content creation journey if it wasn't for all of you. So thank you for being here. Hopefully you learn something. Hopefully you can take something away and relate to something, even if it's just learning more about my lore. But hopefully you can have a takeaway from this as well, and some nuggets of the story that I will tell of my journey. And this episode is intended to be just that. It is intended to be a takeaway or a summary of my journey in the last 5-ish years of adulting. It's not a blueprint. I'm not going to give you the secrets to getting a bunch of subscribers on YouTube or growing a personality. I don't know. None of that here. It's just going to be an encouragement to pursue your dreams and to live authentically and to never shrink yourself and to remind you that nothing is unrealistic. If hearing that instantly jerked something inside of you and made you think, oh, this chick, nothing's unrealistic, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Obviously, there's poverty and illness and all things evil in the world. Then this is probably not the space for you. If you hear something positive and your default is to think of something negative, maybe then this could be for you, because my story is by no means one of all whimsy and joy and wow, I just felt like a natural on the camera and I just really I just quit my 9 to 5 and now I just post ads for Sephora on the internet. No, there's been a lot of trials and tribulations in my journey, and hopefully anyone from any walk of mind can resonate with. And I also wanted to say that before I get into the story, I am also very protective of my past self and who she's been, who she will become, who I am right now. I'm protective and very vulnerable towards the past version of myself, because she's the one who got me here. She's the one who endured everything she's done. And I'm very thankful to myself. So it's a very vulnerable position to sit here with you all behind the camera with no script, no editing, showing up as me, which I haven't always been able to do necessarily. And lastly, your perception of me, a reminder of that your perception of me is not my responsibility. I'm not going to always people please. I'm not always going to make every single person on the internet or in my real life happy, but I am always going to show up as myself in every avenue of life that I am in, which has been a common denominator. I have always been myself in every corner that I stand in. Has it always been the most correct answer? Has it always been the best? Have I always made the best choices, been the best person? Not necessarily. I try to be better every day. There's still always so much room for growth, but I will say that I've always just done my best to be me. And I think that that's something in and of itself. So thank you for joining me today. We're going to start with my origin story, Act 1, which is going into my story of how I got here. The past lore is like in high school, I did a little bit of Minecraft streaming on Twitch back in like 2015-ish era. Back before it was normal for everyone and their mother to become influencer and to just be recording themselves while they eat and stuff in this very new and modern age world we live in now. It wasn't the most normal thing to do. It was definitely something that drew attention in not the best kind of way, because no one knew what it really was, and people kind of thought I was silly that I would stream after school, but I still did it, and I still had a lot of fun, which will inevitably tie back into my fundamental desire for a community, and that being the main reason, and the community and the purpose of why I keep persisting online. All right, community and purpose, finding my purpose. So I did a little bit of that in high school, and then I completely dropped off because I went to college, went to university, studied. Ultimately, not being on the internet really at all. I was very locked in. There was no influencer stuff. I tried a little bit to like go down like fitness journey life, because I was someone that went from not being an active person through my high school years into training for the military for a while and being able to run, and then I got into marathon running, and so my life was very much centered on like fitness and physical growth, essentially, not playing video games. However, that very quickly changed. I graduated college, I started my career. I've been in the military for 10 years now, including all my training and stuff. So as I started my career in active duty, I also at the same time started streaming on Twitch for funsies. So these is a very, very, very visible metric, and it's very fun to go down this path with such openness and vulnerability, because I have made so many excuses for my content creation or for my military stuff along the way. So it's very cool to see everything looking back now as someone who has done a lot of work and have really led myself to be like the person that I am today. You are a summarization of your last 1,000 receipts, your last 1,000 workouts, or the last 1,000 days, and you will keep growing and becoming the person that you want to be as long as you just keep growing down that path. If you keep getting stuck in the person that you've been, then that's all you're ever gonna be. And you're the person that's holding yourself back. So remember that. Keep that in mind. So, community connection. I streamed on Twitch for funsies around COVID, and it was really fun. I got to show up. I would wear. I at some point procured wigs that I would throw on stream, which was so much fun. And in my real life, I was very business. I was still my quirky, goofy self, but I was in the military, obviously. So after COVID went away, things were beginning to return to normalcy. I was in my uniform at all times. My nails have to be a certain way. My hair has to be a certain way. I wore the uniform every single day. And so Twitch for me became an outlet to connect with people that weren't fucking in the military, essentially, or were in the military and could understand kind of where I was at, right? And so I was able to authentically show up as myself in both lanes, but just very differently. It just looked a little bit different. And as this continued in 2023, that was the first time that I was sent overseas to go do some work with NATO. And this is also coincidentally when I switched from Twitch. It was just not really my space anymore. I didn't feel it felt silly. It felt nice to have a community to log into, to be able to play games with on the weekends, but I didn't feel that level of depth that I was feeling from my military side of things. I was very driven by wanting to do something that felt honorable. That was my whole reason behind joining and pursuing it for so long. It was my path because I was like, wow, this will be really laid out for me. I will know where my money is coming from. I will have health insurance. I will do something that will by default feel noble, question mark. It'll feel fulfilling because I'll always have a tough job to do every single day, and I'll innately feel like I'm progressing because there's career progression, yada yada, so on and so forth. So by default, the military was the right thing and the Twitch thing was the silly thing. And there were times where I really just had to throttle down on Twitch and then really put all my eggs in the military basket, understandably. And so in 2023, that's when I made the pivot to YouTube. Instead of doing Twitch, I just pretty much stopped doing Twitch completely. If you've been here for a while and if you've met me before, then you know that I've tried doing Twitch on and off since then, but mostly off because it just isn't sustainable for my current lifestyle. And I was being so honest to myself, and I really went back to right before I was deployed to do NATO stuff. I sat down and streamed on Twitch, but I had the chat off. I made my first real banger YouTube video. All right, just started YouTube, and I decided to play The Last of Us for the first time. And I had not played a lot of story games. I tried playing a couple on Twitch. It wasn't really my thing growing up because it felt isolating to sit and just play through a game by myself. I liked multiplayer games, or like I'd rather just read a book or something, right? I was more in the physical domain, training for marathons. It was out of character. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to give these story games a try, and I really want to make it about the game and make it about the emotions I'm experiencing because my daily is so numb, right? And so I streamed it on Twitch. I would upload with no chat, besides like little breaks here and there, and I uploaded those to YouTube. And within a month or two, as I was like getting out the door to deploy for a short period of time, the videos popped off. And you can blame it on the water, you can blame it on what something's in the water, on the algorithm, whatever, what have you. Like the TV show was coming out for the first time. There were a lot of things that I think played into the success of these videos. But I also look back at those videos, and like I said, I'm so vulnerable and protective over my past self because I think ultimately what contributed to the success was how authentic and how in my space I felt making those videos. And I had so much fun. It was the first time I actually like made, it's taboo to talk about money on the internet, but I made money from like gaming that wasn't like from Twitch, which I'm very thankful for, like people for subscribing to me and giving gifts and tips and things. And they actually, my Twitch community was who got me the PlayStation in the first place, which is what enabled me to play this for YouTube. So it's a huge butterfly effect. Not to say that Twitch hasn't been absolutely huge, but I just saw it as like my fun space. And so this is the first time that like from ad revenue and from YouTube itself, I was getting paid a little. And that was so crazy to see. And it broke my brain a little bit because I was like, wait a second. I showed up as myself for this space. I wasn't wearing a quirky, fun wig. I wasn't performing or doing anything. I didn't have to do anything crazy. I just showed up as myself intimately, and I found a space where I felt like I could create, and I got rewarded for it. And then literally the months it was uploading automatically while I was overseas. So you can imagine me editing those videos while being on a plane to go do the next like NATO fucking mission and working like 12-hour days, and in the middle of being at my hotel before my workouts, after my workouts, I was replying to comments. So my life looked black and white. It looked so different, and it broke my brain that wait, I'm doing all this work and doing all these crazy things that are like fulfilling and training and deploying to different countries, and then at the same time I'm replying to people on the internet in comments, and then I got my YouTube page. It was just a very crazy, earth-shattering space to be in my life. And I also, at that same time, started getting messages. I showed up as myself for these videos, and there was a funny little thing that I did during this video because I still stuck to my goofy self, and I made a sound effect that was high-pitched, and it was like, yoink, when I would go and loot items. I would just hit yoink, 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 And as I'm over here fucking on the other side of the world doing high-paced military missions, I'm getting comments from hundreds of people on the side under this video being like, the yoink is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're ruining the immersion of this video. It's blah, blah, blah. It's like a distaste and it's a disservice to the integrity of the game, essentially. Like, you're making this emotionally blah, blah, blah. Like, and although that was a severe minority in the commenters, it still hit me, and it just reinforced and reminded me, oh, YouTube's for fun. Oh, Twitch, that's just for fun. There's incels. You can't really be yourself. You try to be yourself, and people don't like it. And so that was also kind of a strange thing that I want to mention because it does resurface again in the future. So 2023. It was the first time I really started understanding what this could be. And I also, although there were like haters and weirdos and incels who like, you ruined my game, most people enjoyed it. And I actually started getting for the first time messages that were saying, you changed my life. Like, watching these videos was so healthy, and it was so nice to see someone just enjoying themselves playing my favorite game, resonating with these characters. Like, I have someone in the hospital, or I was in the hospital, or I'm going through a really hard time, or I'm studying for my finals, and seeing the outpouring of all these messages and connecting, it also really resonated with me, thinking, oh, I didn't know I was really making an impact anywhere besides being in the military and directly hands-on doing fucking training and crazy shit, right? And so a lot of ideas started forming, and it created a lot of fractures in my identity and things that I've been really working through since then. And so I also, in 2024, then we'll move forward to 2024. I think that's enough on 2023. I could talk so much about 2023 for myself. In 2024, as things imagine are growing on YouTube, I released this playthrough. I was like, oh shit, this is so cool. I started playing Red Dead Redemption and a couple other games that were fun. They were also fractured because I had to go on deployments and so many missions. So I was just living a lot of lives at that time. In 2024, I found out that I was getting deployed to the Middle East for 6 months to FOB, pretty much like sleeping in a tin can. There's tents set up type situation, right? Not like a base. We did have a little bit of Wi-Fi, so I was able to record some videos. But once again, we entered this space, this juxtaposing space, where I was getting deployed. I just played God of War 2018, which was also like taking off. People were loving it. People were loving connecting. I was learning so much about the community. I was having so much fun. And then yoink. Don't get triggered, please, please. Yoink, I got sent to the Middle East. And this was truly when everything I had been feeling for the last couple of years in this fracture of identity, it came to fruition in the Middle East, I will say, my 2024 era. Because my days were just, every day was the same, 12-hour days, working, gym, eat, sleep, repeat. I found a little bit of solace and a little bit of time in playing the old God of War games. That's such a fond memory. And it's actually when I first started watching videos, movies on YouTube, because I wanted to find a way to connect with people so desperately, being in the middle of nowhere in the desert, while I was literally like getting fucking missiled UAV strikes. I mean, if you're watching the news now, it's anything like that, right? It was very scary. Point of life and death, even. If you will, because I went there soon after a few people had like lost their lives and near me, and that was very scary. Just deploying and being like, wow, this is life and death, and then I'm gonna sneak away and find a couple hours to go play God of War and upload it to my YouTube community who's expecting to watch videos from me. So that was a very crazy experience. It's when I first started watching movies for YouTube. I was editing them myself. I had a friend that was helping me out, one of my mods for my channel, who was trying to help me edit. We were learning together because I just wanted a way to fucking feel alive, truthfully. And I encountered so much resistance with that. I started watching Lord of the Rings for the first time, and it was so much fun. I like had a little notepad and I was taking notes, and most people were like, wow, this was like amazing. It was so nice to relate with you. It's so nice to blah, blah, blah. And then there were a couple people who once again, the haters, it just reinforced like, wow, this is really important. I'm doing something profound. I'm doing something that's really making me feel alive by helping others feel alive through art and media. And then there were people that are like, you're writing during the movie. You're making jokes. This is a serious, like, oh my God, go get a life. Anyways, I say that now, but younger me a couple years ago felt pretty attacked by those things because I was like, man, I can't make everyone happy. That's crazy. I guess I'll stick to being in the military because that's my real job, right? And so yeah, we just encountered a lot of resistance, me and my editor, because copyright started just like fucking striking. And so I would literally be like hiding in a bunker one day, working long, grueling hours, questioning my life and my purpose in life, and then getting a strike from fucking, no offense, Warner Brothers, but getting a strike notification from Warner Brothers like on my phone when I would come back to my room. And just being like, fuck my life. Literally, this is the worst. Yeah. So that was the Middle East arc. I was still progressing, growing in reach, growing in income, and realizing that I just wanted more connection and more from the YouTube space, and I would keep trying. And in this period of feeling so lost, this is just like, I want to just throw this in there. I remember looking up at the stars, and since there's no light pollution, when I was in the middle of nowhere, it was the brightest sky I had ever seen in my life to this day. The brightest stars, the most beautiful fucking scene to witness, although everything was shit and everything was crazy and I was so lost about my purpose in life. I was looking up and I was just thinking, wow, holy shit. We are so fortunate to live in such a great expanse. So I am very thankful for the military for letting me survive 6 months in the Middle East to get to see a really cool night sky. That was cool. Flash forward, I get home. I take a break from YouTube and everything because I'm feeling pretty like just burnt, obviously, from existing. I also want to mention that where is my military career at this point? Like, how am I feeling about like the military side of the house? I've talked about like the good and the bad side, the ugly side, the imposter side that I felt while I was making these videos. What were my coworkers saying? What was that side of the house like, right? Was I growing equally spiritually in the military side? Like, how was that all going? I will say I've had a lot of great experiences in my 10 years, meeting some really cool people, getting to travel a lot, right? I signed up for this. All these restrictions are self-imposed. I signed up for a thing where I can only have my nails a certain way, my hair a certain way, to wear a uniform. However, over the years, as I saw something, I'll stick to like just the military itself. It's kind of hard to tell them as separate stories because I was going to say that in the military side, I didn't feel accepted completely as myself because a lot of people, if you've ever been in a career path where that career is like people's lives, the military is one of those. And that may be most careers. I wouldn't know. I haven't really experienced anything besides the military my entire adult life, right? And so a lot of people's identity is forged in who they are at work and the hours that they work and the trips that they go on. And there's a lot of trauma bonding that happens through that because of the people that you encounter that all experience the exact same thing, which I think is why a lot of people don't leave because it's all they grow to know. And then they're surrounded and they think, how can I ever enter a workforce, which is 99% of like the US population is not in the service. But they think, well, fuck, I'm never going to relate to anyone because there's no way anyone's endured the shit I've done, right? Like, I just got bombed in the Middle East for fucking 6 months. How am I going to go and work at a bank, right? Kind of a crazy thing. And so in real time, I was experiencing, oh shit, there's a fracture. I am making money just from being funny and from enjoying my life and crying on the internet and making yoink sounds that people may or may not like. And I'm being accepted as myself. I was getting offers at this point by 2024 to go get flown out for like video game events, for getting sponsorships for playing games, for going to conferences and like having fun at like Twitch cons and stuff. But then like literally on the same side, I'm flying between countries, responding to comments, having to work long hours. I don't talk about what I do on the internet. Obviously, I've been like skirting around that subject, but very hands-on work. All in the meantime. And I realized very quickly that I didn't feel super accepted by like the people around me. They were fun for what it was. I had fun going to Vegas with the boys and doing shenanigans for military stuff, or like going overseas. But a lot of the people I was surrounded by, there was a lot of normalized and romanticized like cheating and harassment and drinking. Like everyone, like their love language, the joke about the military is like everyone thrives off caffeine, nicotine, and like alcohol. So it was very much a climate. I didn't drink at all, like really hardly, maybe a few times in college, but someone who went from like fucking being a 4.0 marathon kind of guy who just had big dreams and wanted to just, I don't know what I wanted. Be so perfect at everything. Joining a career field where it's a little bit more nebulous and it's a work hard, play hard environment. I had to learn to exist in that, and then also exist as myself with this goofy persona on the internet, or emotional persona on the internet. So that was the perfect storm, because I felt more and more isolated from like my coworkers, because I wouldn't want to go out on a Friday night and stay out and drink with them and feel inauthentic, and then show up Saturday morning for a Twitch stream or a YouTube recording, because those things just weren't going hand in hand. And a lot of my coworkers honestly laughed. They would accept it at the end of the day, but at first, if I mentioned, like, this was before I hit like 100,000 subscribers, when I was still like at like 10,000, 20,000, which are no numbers to scoff at, by the way. If anyone is getting started in a journey, no amount of numbers is something worth scoffing at. Just keep doing the business, all right? But my coworkers, like, it wasn't normal at the time to exist as an active duty military member, live our fast-paced lives, and fathom also sustaining having a content creation space and a community. I mean, a lot of people in the military don't really have time for like their families or even hobbies or all sorts of things, because you're constantly getting fucking yoinked all the way to the other side of the world. You kind of have to just choose. You have to choose the military as your life partner in certain regards, and that's what you are told when you sign up. It's very straightforward. I'm not complaining about it, but it's just the fact of the matter. And the fact for me was that I was cultivating something that felt bigger than myself, while I was also serving in something that's bigger than myself, because the military is like the country's insurance policy for war, regardless of administration, right? So, moving from that, feeling all those great feelings, I also, overall, I think that there's like immigrant guilt. I don't know if anyone else also resonates with this, but like my family moved here and sold everything. My parents, we're from Ukraine, and I was very young when we immigrated, and so them selling everything that they had, having nothing to their name besides the money they made from selling everything they had, no family, no friends, nothing, moving to the United States when I was young, in hopes of a better life for me. It just felt right to be putting all my eggs in this like career basket, regardless of what that looked, regardless of how I actually ended up feeling in the military after 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. I thought that it was just the path that I chose. It's the path I got my bachelor's in. It's the path that I've been training for. It's the path I got my master's in. And so I just had like this guilt of, like, what the fuck am I doing? I shouldn't be allowed to enjoy myself and just like make money from being on the internet. And yeah, I mean, in 2025, I actually hit 100,000 subscribers for the first time while I was serving overseas again. Surprise, 23, 24, 2025. For half the year I was gone, and I was serving as an interpreter. And the days were just as juxtaposing as the last couple of fucking years at this point. I would be working long, stressful fucking days, very like stressful ass days. And then I would come home to my hotel, and at this point I offloaded and I hired editors. I hired an editing team. I went through probably 10 editors. I was constantly outsourcing. I used a website where you can just hire people for their skills, and I would hire 10 editors. Like at a time I would hire 2, and I would bracket like fucking football brackets. So if you saw some crazy ass edits of movies on the channel, That's why, because I realized that I really, really, really wanted to watch movies because I wasn't being authentic to myself, just pretending like I wanted to play games. My life had gotten so entangled to that point where I couldn't just sit there and hee hee ha ha, I'm gonna play fucking Grand Theft Auto. No, I've been at war for years, literally, physically, in the physical realm. I've been serving and doing fucking war. I can't come home and just mask and laugh and play Grand Theft Auto, which is why I go AWOL from games here and there. But I did want a way to still connect, and movies felt like a great opportunity to do so, because then I could still have that sense of community with you all, and to do it in like a shorter kind of way, which is funny because I didn't want to commit to long games, and then I ended up watching fucking 20,000 phases of Marvel movies. But those have actually been really great for my silly little mental health. They've been keeping me on a track, and I don't need to bounce around different genres, although I am really excited to watching different movies eventually that aren't Marvel. It's been actually really great. So I would literally be working really long days, hopping on flights, once again, replying to YouTube comments when I could. Working in a world where you can't have your phone or any like technology or anything really like at work. It's been so fucking crazy. And I would come home back to like my hotels and reply to comments and then watch a Marvel movie and then move on for my next day. So this continues, and finally in 2026, this year, the current conflict, I'm not going to talk much about it because I am in the service still, and I'm doing my job. I signed up to be the country's insurance policy, regardless of what you think of that, regardless of what I think of that. We don't have to talk more about it. This is a journey about my this is a discussion about my content creation journey, okay? I will just leave it to the fact that I very quickly realized at this point I was at war again, third, fourth year in a row, maybe. Almost half the time I've been in the military. And at this time, I wasn't even deployed. Like, I was at war at my own home and working 12 plus 14-hour days every single day for months straight, 80-hour weeks. You don't get overtime. You're in the military. You signed up, right? I signed up for this. However, that doesn't make you feel much better about it sometimes. And so that's, I think, when it really felt full circle. Working 80 plus hour weeks, double the normal 40-hour work week, answering the call to like serve the nation, but also coming home and in my like very limited 2% energy that I had left after working a long night, or like just having no life left in my eyes and really being at my lowest I'd ever been, being able to come home and watch a silly little Marvel movie and send it off to my team and have them edit it and uploading it and reading all the comments about what people think about the movie, or people like looking out for me and making sure I'm okay. That was really eye-opening, because it was for the first time, I think, truly, I felt that my YouTube purpose actually equaled my military purpose. And that truly broke my brain, because after 3 years of being fractured and seeing YouTube or Twitch as like silly fun, I need to go to work and be serious and have my career, even if certain things are in misalignment, my values, morals, people, law, like just things that I think of myself, and then things that the ways I see myself in that job weren't aligning. YouTube finally didn't feel so silly. Like, hold on a minute, I feel equally as fulfilled going home and being able to just live life for myself, and it felt like a breath of air amidst everything else. And so that's where we're at now, guys. That's where we're at now. And since then, I have now hit 225,000 subscribers since last year. I like doubled, which was insane. Thank you guys so much for all the support that you've given me and the channel, and even just watching the videos. It's been huge, and it's really, quite frankly, been life-changing in my value and who I feel like as a person inside, which I think is the biggest takeaway regardless of anything else, right? Regardless of opportunities for like gaming conventions or the pay or anything else. It's just how I feel inside as a human existing on this planet has fundamentally changed. And so that brings me to Act 2 and talking about, since we got over all my really, lighthearted, really funny, really easygoing lore, need for community and connection. We get into Act 2, which is listening to yourself and refusing to shrink. So things that I told myself and I reinforced through this story of lore is I would push my feelings down of, oh wait, I'm having a lot of fun, and I would just see it as it was, and then I would go back to my like job where I was getting increasingly more miserable and crying in my car, having health issues and not getting paid for overtime, and then feeling like I was having fun on the weekends. I would just like suppress all those feelings and then put myself in the mold and shrink to fit the mold that I needed to fit, because it was like my self-imposed fucking path that I set myself on. So guess I'll die. Guess I'll do that forever. And I also wanted to subconsciously shrink myself, because the Last of Us playthrough, the example that I noted about the yoink and the sound effects and stuff, I did notice my spark die a little bit, and my fun that I was having also died a little bit, and like I never brought a notebook back to take notes on a movie. I haven't done sound effects since I watched my Last of Us playthrough. I got a lot more serious and less myself because of what I was reading. And I also ended up doing that because like coworkers that would comment and be like, oh, you're trying to be a YouTuber? Oh, blah, blah, blah. I also realized that I would talk less about it, and I would feel shame, and I would actually kind of hide it from people I would encounter, even though it was a big part of my life and it was a big passion of mine in my life. I felt like I couldn't be vulnerable about it. And I still at times feel like it's something that I keep close, because there is a peace in keeping certain things to yourself, and not having to share them with the world, where the world can hurt them, right? So I did notice myself shrinking a little bit, and so when I need inspiration, honestly, I look to myself and my younger self, my former self, before she was hurt, before she's experienced everything she's experienced, all the wars, all the times, like everything that she's felt over the last few years. Very proud of myself today, and the discernment that I've learned, and the hardness that I've acquired to my skin. But I always look back to silly younger me who did this, quote, just for fun, and put her whole fucking ass into it. And don't listen to yourself and don't shrink. Keep being yourself through the thick, through the thin. I mean, take criticism where needed, but like ultimately don't let it impact who you are and how you show up for yourself in whatever avenue of life that is. Like if you're that teacher who decorates the shit out of her classroom and all the other teachers suck and don't do that. I'm just kidding. I've never been a teacher. I don't know. So like maybe that shit's really difficult to put up stuff in your room, but keep showing up as yourself. If you are a chef and you decorate pancakes and you want to draw a smiley face on them and people judge you, just keep being you, right? I kept playing things my way. I mean, even now I just played Expedition 33 and I accidentally like equipped a silly outfit for the final part of the game. No spoilers. Because I hadn't put on funny costumes the entire fucking game. And I was like, oh, the game's almost over. Let me finally put on this funny little costume that I put on. And people were like, I can't believe you fucking ruined the experience of the game. I can't believe. I'm like, oh my God. Anyways, anything is as serious as you make it. So listen to yourself and listen to how you feel as a person existing on this planet. I thought that like the military was just what it is. Like people are just the way they are. People are always going to harass you or harass your coworkers. People like couples are always gonna cheat on their wives and spouses and fucking be gone kids' entire lives, and everyone just always drinks all the time, and it's normal to like go and smoke a million cigarettes. And maybe that's just like life. Maybe I just got hard and, call me Siddhartha Gautama and fucking seeing all the sins around me. But maybe that's just the way it is in all reality. But I didn't envy my coworkers and their lives. I didn't want to keep growing up. Even now, like, sure, I work with them and there's no issues. I don't like have any beef with my current coworkers or anything, but I wasn't just envying the way anyone around me lived. And I found a safe space online that I cultivated and a community there. And I was very humbled by my experiences in the last few years in becoming who I am now. Anything is as serious as you make it. So I had these dreams going all the way back to like my Minecraft streamer stories when I was like fucking a kid in school, 15, 16 years old. I had these dreams and I started the channel with donating money every year to like the Red Panda Network because I love red pandas. I discovered them around the time I started my Twitch, and I wanted to make it a goal to like donate every year and become like one of the sponsors for red panda enclosures and habitats out in the wild, and maybe someday even like visiting out there and going to a retreat out there. This has grown now, and I still every year try to donate at least $1,000 to the Red Panda organization, and I did like charity streams for veterans and stuff. But I still, even though I had all these serious undertones, I would, sit and talk and chat with people and make people feel at home and get all these messages about how my Last of Us playthrough changed people's lives and cheered them up. Like my most popular videos are the ones where I'm being the most myself, and I can really feel that. Except for my podcast episodes, because it's a very different type of content, and I'm glad that actually it's kind of a little invisible because I can keep hiding back here and people can just pay attention to me reacting to media, not me just sitting here and being vulnerable on the internet. So I had all these serious ambitions, and I still do, and I still want to do all these things for the channel, the community. I created like fitness accountability pages in the Discord and stuff, but I couldn't even hold myself accountable to post on them because I was always so busy with constantly getting deployed and fucking working weekends and stuff, and it's just craziness. So everything is as serious as you make it is the takeaway there. I wrote it off for myself because that was just what I did. Was that necessarily the most correct thing to do? I think my life has been correct in ways because it's what got me to where I am now. And everything has been a learning opportunity and opportunity of growth to become the person that I'm becoming and become better. You're a product of their last 1,000 receipts, 1,000 days, 1,000 workouts, 1,000 whatever. You can just keep becoming better and more self-aware of I don't know, who you are and what you've endured, right? And through that, I realized that my last 10 years with like getting my master's, getting my bachelor's, I was actually having more fun at the silly thing, the thing that I thought was silly, and I wrote off, than the thing that I fucking worked my balls off for, essentially. And I felt guilty for the easy thing that felt easy and natural. I also wrote it off because this space is work. You have to have tough skin to exist on the internet as yourself. You have to know how to show up authentically. There's people who put on a persona and that does work for them, but depending on what kind of content you want to get into, people not just subscribing to you for what you're selling to them, subscribing to you as a person and your identity and why they resonate. Maybe you're just like really funny at first, but what keeps people around? And it just brought me, I'll introduce the word ego death. It brought me through a lot of ego deaths where I just lost my identity and fractured and died over and over and over again times when I would disappear from the internet for like a month or two and would just like need time to reclaim who I am. Am I myself in my work? Am I myself in my relationships? Am I myself here and there? I was just so lost. I was just so lost through the black and white life I was existing in. And that brings me to Act 3, our final act, closing act for this heavy episode. Heavy but light episode, because it feels cathartic to just fucking finally talk about these things. I think it's a product of all the work that I've been doing in this last year, because finally with like the Iran strikes of this year, so many crying sessions in my car, so much just like therapy, and not as a buzzword or a bad word, just working through the art of existence and becoming a better person. And that the act is titled Allowing Myself to Just Be, because I think through the whole story, the narrative now that I've presented to you all, I was thinking to myself, who should I be in these spaces? I would meet someone who is passionate about their job in accounting, or as a military leader, or because I would encounter someone that I do actually look up to, or I would go to a gaming convention and I would see someone, because gaming just felt silly and fun, and I'm like, these people just sit on their computer for 12 hours a day, there's no way. And then I would encounter someone who actually does have work-life balance as a content creator, and they do actually bring something impactful to the space, and they connect people, or they donate money to their favorite animal for its protection, right? And so it just made me think, who should I be? And every fucking, I can't even put a number on it, every month, every quarter, every year, I would pivot internally and think, I should work harder in my military. Like, I wouldn't listen to what my innards were screaming, what my insides were screaming, and what my voice inside was screaming, because even though sometimes like content would feel right, mentally I had convinced myself and put it in a box that it wasn't, and that I'm not big enough to be in this space. Like, I would encapsulate my own dreams and kill them for myself. No one even had to. So I realized that in 2023, 2024, when I first started seeing trending growth on YouTube, I didn't want to just play games to just be a figurehead and playing games and make it the fun thing. I very quickly realized that it was becoming more than just an escape and more than just fun, with all of the comments and the connection and, I don't know, the impact the reach that I felt like I had. Whereas I actually had a leader that was asking me about where I see like my career recently, and I was saying to them, yeah, I think that I have this alternate pursuit, and I'm thinking about maybe taking the leap of faith and getting out and doing that. And they said, yeah, I mean, some people don't really want to belong in a place where they're making like an organizational impact, talking about like the Department of Defense and the Department of War, right? Like, some people would rather get out and go do something at like the local level. And I just felt such a crazy feeling of like warmth and chaos, and just like a black hole of crazy in my chest when they said that, because I was like, oh, you have no idea. Like, a local impact. You have no idea the impact that I feel like my community has on me as a person, and feeling watered and grown. Whereas in my other line in my career, I have felt like I've been shrinking myself and forcing myself to fit there. I want to just see how much I can grow in this space, and I've been really watering like the creative side and seeing just how much is there. Little Minecraft streamer me, and connecting with not just being a figurehead and not just playing, play games for me, YouTuber, no yoink sounds, no taking notes, no Googling things during the movie, no this, no that, right? Continuing to show up as myself authentically and letting people resonate with that and just feel my pure lust for life and passion for any pursuit that I have, but also nurturing my own creativity in this podcast space and showing up and being vulnerable and showing people that it's okay to have questions, it's okay to have doubts, it's okay to have, career questions and make changes in your life. I also have been starting my own creative pursuits. Like I mentioned, I do want to inevitably go to one of the I want to say rehabilitation centers, nature preservation centers for the red pandas, and actually volunteer and help out there however I can. At some point, I would love to. Just got to take leave for it and request approval to go overseas and go through 20 hoops. But, maybe someday I can make that happen. And I've been thinking about maybe writing a book. It might be a short story, I don't know, about more of these like intricate experiences I've felt. Not just to like get my story out there, but to really put words to the feelings that I've experienced in the last 5 years, because I feel like I've just lived so many lives for someone who's not 30 yet, not even 30 years old, and maybe help other people feel heard and feel like they can also attune their compasses and it's not too late. And the authenticity piece, I mean, like there's been so many examples. One of them is like when I started watching movies and I desperately just wanted that feeling of connection that wasn't just with video games. A lot of people are like, oh, you need to make another channel. Oh, you need to make... And these are people who maybe watch and consume a lot of content, but they don't actually make it themselves. So don't take opinions or don't take the advice of people who you don't envy. As a kind of blanket statement, obviously there's nuance there, but people said I need to make different channels because that's like what they know, and you're not gonna get as much growth if you keep everything on one channel. And I realized I don't want to sever myself anymore. I'm done with my fucking severance job where I go in and I do crazy shit and then I forget about it and I have to be a normal person in my daily life. And then I go on YouTube and I do this and that and have fun. My fun job, my fun place, right? My happy place. And I sever that because I go into society and I have to talk to my regular, quote unquote, normal friends day to day, except for the select few that know about my like burning passions and that I want more for myself and I want more for this space and I want to fucking write books and write novels and write plays and musicals and albums. Like they know how much crazy I have. Like my two hands aren't enough anymore. I need an editing team. I want just like with publishers. I want so much just to like keep getting the whimsy out there and creating, because beautiful things happen when you water and fertilize artists. It is a service in and of itself, as something like beautiful that I've learned through being someone who does actually serve. It is a very noble thing to do. Being like, people can say what they want, obviously, depending on the climate and depending on case studies and situations, but firefighters, police officers, military members, there is a reason why people oftentimes say thank you for your service, because it does have a cost. And some people pay that price for 20 years, some people pay it for 4 years. It is a service, but so is art, because it serves the people who appreciate it and it serves the artist in feeling like a fucking human in this world. So I'm allowed to not feel guilt. I'm allowed to feel protective and vulnerable over my past self, who is just doing her best. And I'm allowed to feel pride of my future self. I know she's going to do great things. I'm cultivating that because I've already seen how much she's capable of, even with everything I've endured. Even in the last year, a year ago on my birthday, it's almost my birthday again, August 8th. I made an episode where I was crying and talking about. I've been trying to not cry, which is why I'm talking really monotonely. This whole episode, I'm really proud of myself for keeping it together. I made an episode where I was crying because I was turning 27, and talking about accepting yourself where you're at and whatever that looks like. Like, I thought I wanted a family by 27, kids, the whole like fucking nuclear family construct. But I'm so much. The realization that I came to in that episode is that I'm so much more than I thought I would be. In my own way, and it's been my own path and uniquely mine. And it's okay for things to change. It's okay for you to have your own, like, choose your own adventure in life, as long as you just keep choosing it and keep growing. I think is the takeaway. And it's very eye-opening to just sit here a year later, turning 28 in less than a week. I'm very proud, and I'm very thankful and so humbled to be where I am, and so thankful for all of you for letting me be myself and, like, be a human in this life, because I have struggled to feel human and connected for a long time. And I was just seeking love and approval and always doing more and more and more for people to love me, for me to love myself. And it's just nice to finally feel like I've found a safe place to land in that journey, which a lot of that work was my own. But I'm very thankful for you all for facilitating that. And unless you're one of the incels who writes stupid shit, I hate you, but for the most part, it's very humbling. One last note is an anecdote from my mother. When I was in high school, I've always been someone who tries to get like 4.0 GPA, all A's, bunch of honor societies, sports. I always wanted to just load my plate up as much as possible to achieve more and also to live more, I felt like. And try to challenge myself. And so it was like one of my last years of school, and I was picking out my classes, and I did choir growing up through the years, and it always felt like the fun thing. I was actually planning on going to school to study music and to write music and maybe be like in a choir or something, like fucking be one of those people who covers Skyrim soundtracks, right? That would be sick. Still thinking about it, alright? It's not off the docket yet. But I was actually gonna this played into my major choice for school. But I was taking a bunch of AP classes, and which are, for context, college classes while you're still in high school to get credits ahead of time so you could graduate early or take even more classes in college. Just crazy people behavior, right? And I was deciding between taking like advanced physics or biology or taking a second choir class, because I really wanted to be like in an a cappella group before I graduated. And my mom said, like, you're gonna have so much time a million opportunities and so much time to do the hard thing. Your life is always going to be serving you hard things, right? Like difficult things to go through. Like you're going to have plenty of time to take more difficult classes in college. You're going to have plenty of time to graduate college. Why are you in such a rush? And that's probably the same reason I cry when I hear the song Vienna by Billy Joel. Like, slow down, you're doing fine. You can be everything you need to be before your time. And I'm very thankful to my mother because she just said, choose choir. And that has been something that has resonated with me throughout my whole life. And I lost sight, I think, of that vision because I felt like I needed to always do the hard thing. And sometimes you can just choose choir and not forget to live. And so I did. And that led me to the decision of almost signing up to study music in college, which would have put me on a whole nother path But somehow all roads lead back to being yourself if you just cultivate a safe space for yourself to exist and to rediscover yourself. Because now I'm making music for the first time. I've never written music before, but I'm back to singing and doing all those things that I felt so far away from. So shout out to Mom for telling me to choose choir and essentially like choose myself. And yeah, don't take advice from people you don't envy. Don't shrink yourself to be small. It's okay, and you don't have to feel guilty for enjoying yourself when things aren't inexplicably fucking difficult. Stay humble. Stay open to growth. And I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you for listening to today's fucking podcast episode. Yeah, I think that about covers it. See you guys in the next video. See ya.